Welcome to another edition of Cooper's Cogitations. We're still doing schools, folks. Let's talk about the financing of schools, shall we, for a moment? Let me read to you this from Brigham Young. Many of you have heard what certain journalists have had to say about Brigham Young being opposed to free schools. I am opposed to taking away property from any man and giving it to another. Would I encourage, quote, my quote, free schools, end quote, by taxation? No. Why? Well, gee whiz. It's not free, is it? You're taking property from me and giving it to someone else, or taking property from me and giving it for a school. We had homeschool, church schools, neighborhood schools prior to statehood. When they gave us this rag of a constitution at the point of a gun, they required us to have government schools, a government state school board to make sure everybody complied, everybody toed the line, and they would provide people for the school districts to make sure they were in compliance. Now, what did George Q. Cannon say about government tax-supported schools? Interesting quote here. He says, let's advance education by individual effort and not bring a child into the world and instill into its mind that because he is born, somebody owes him an education. I think it degrades children to give them such ideas, teach them that it's their duty to work for themselves. It's education, not schooling. Education is all your life. And as we learned in the first section, education is for the body, the mind, the spirit, the character. It's not a programming situation like you have in the government schools. It's to develop the entire person along the lines God has set, along truth. Pursue the matter, Mr. Cannon. Teach them it's their duty to work for themselves. When a man has children, he should provide for and educate them, and not think that because he may have a rich neighbor, that he should help give them an education. Such an idea is doing more at the present time to pauperize the children of our country and their feelings than almost anything else. They get the idea they ought to be educated at the expense of the state, and when they're educated, I prefer to say schools, they then are to sustain them, to be sustained at the expense of the state. Whew. So, Brigham Young, John Taylor, Wilford Woodruff all said tax-supported schools are theft. When they gave us this Constitution in 1896, immediately Wilford Woodruff created state academies. They had an academy in every state. Some people said it's too expensive, so they lowered the price. Ezra Taft Benson and Harold B. Lee went to the Oneida State Academy. David O. McKay was the principal of Weber State Academy. Heber J. Grant was in there somewheres. I forgot where. 10% of the saints obeyed and followed the prophet. The other 90%, state presidents, relief society presidents, Ellis Quorum presidents, high priests, presidents, doctors, lawyers, farmers, ranchers, miners, now went to the quote, free government schools. And they were programmed in socialism. 30, 40 years later, President Grant is the prophet. He tells the people, do not vote for Franklin Roosevelt. Tells them 4 times. They voted for Franklin Roosevelt, Mr. Socialist, all 4 times. Last time we led the nation at 69%. Were they schooled? Yes, they were well schooled. Not only that, but they schooled their children. Interesting, isn't it? Pursue the matter. He also told them, do not vote to repeal prohibition. We were the last state in the union, last year of eligibility to repeal prohibition. He told us no. We voted yes, repeal prohibition. He told us do not vote or support the Townsend Old Age Assistance Act, Social Security. We did. A friend of mine's sister out here in Laverkin went to Salt Lake. She's in her 20s for a meeting up there in the Tabernacle Conference Center. Everybody's sitting there. President Grant walks in. They sang out, we thank thee, O God, for prophet. He walks to the microphone and says, hush, hush, don't sing that song. You don't mean it. They were told what to do by a prophet, and they rejected it because they were schooled in the socialistic program. What are we saying here? Doctrine Covenants 93:39, and that wicked one cometh and taketh away light and truth, our very essence, our very beings, through disobedience and because of the tradition of the fathers. Go to 123:7 and 8. It is an imperative duty which we owe to God, to angels with whom we shall be brought to stand, to ourselves, to our wives and children who have been made to bow down under the most damning hand of murder, tyranny, and oppression, supported, urged on, and upheld by the influence of that spirit, which is so strongly riveted the creeds. That spirit was obviously not a good spirit. He riveted the creeds of the fathers who had inherited lies on the hearts of the children. I worked with metal. You rivet metal together. I've actually used a machine and torn metal before I broke the rivet. Those false traditions are riveted on our soul. We don't even know they have it. They're the mainspring of all corruption. It's been growing stronger and stronger. The whole earth groans under the weight of its iniquity. They're the very handcuffs, chains, shackles, and fetters of hell. But Matthew 6:23, if thine eye is evil, which it is, because we have all these false traditions, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light within thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? Because you don't know it's darkness. You think it's light. You think it's truth, and you will fight anybody. It's opposing you, the generations of your family, the generations of your friends, schools, government, business, finances, your entire life, church, your church members who enjoy socialism. And we've just gotten worse. Let's pursue the matter of financing, shall we? Let's see. John 2:6, and this is love, that we walk after his commandments. 1 John 5:2, by this we know that we love the children of God. When we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. If you don't love God and keep the commandments, you really don't love the children of men. It's some sort of counterfeit, something massaged, something not pure. This emotion, behavior, call it what you will, you have toward the children of men, other people. Pursue the matter. For this is love, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. 1 John 5:3. What's one of the commandments? Thou shalt not steal. When you vote for a bond for the children, you put a gun to my head and take my property. Don't tell me you love me. I don't believe you. As my old dad would say, your actions speak so loud I can't hear what you're saying. Okay? Let's push it. Additionally, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. When he gives us a house, that is an inheritance. When you read the scriptures, you find an inheritance. Book of Mormon's inheritance constantly. We get it from God. It's ours. We pass it to our children. Look at here. It's supposed to be in the family forever. And then we come into property tax. Isn't that interesting? Remember the movie Secretariat? She was going to lose her family farm. She had to come up with $6 million tax, property tax, inheritance tax. See? Second Nephi 13:5, and the people were oppressed, everyone by another and everyone by his neighbor. How do I oppress you? Oh, by how I vote. So I vote for the bond to take your money at the point of a gun. I vote for this corrupt mayor or city council or congressman or senator or legislator or governor or president who vote to take your property, to oppress you, to take your liberties, take the Constitution and tear it up. That's how you oppress me, by how you vote or not voting. You don't vote, you're saying you like the system. I don't care how you explain it. Otherwise, you'd be involved and change the system. O my people, they who lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths. As you've seen in the first section, the purpose of schools, they destroy the way of our paths. They tear up the concepts of God and Christianity and rational thought and behavior, put you on drugs and throw you in a psychiatric bed. Yep. Government schools, wonderful thing. As I asked the students, hey, is this okay? How are our families 80 years ago? Better, Mr. Cooper. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Don't you love property tax, inheritance tax? Second Nephi 20, verse 1. Woe to them that decree unrighteous degrees and that write grievances which they have prescribed, to turn away the needy from judgment, to take away the right of the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, that they may rob the fatherless. Inheritance tax, property tax, regular tax, it's all theft. You might not believe this, but I really am opposed to it. Thank you.